is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 145. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Easterdamus, a.k.a. Pat E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Joey Chestnut, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. And as of today, Mr. Bukari.
Damn it, dude. I was going to say the same exact thing.
We'll workshop that. E, for the third time in a row, third time in 4 days. I know the answer to the question, but I'll ask you as I always do. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm running out of adjectives, man. I'm running out of words to describe it. I'm doing great. I think everyone in the fan base is doing absolutely fantastic right now. This might be the most awesome streak of news we've ever had. And since we realized we were getting a club here in Austin, and to just be taking this all in right now. The morning started out hot. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into this awesome signing, how this is all progressing, what it's going to look like going forward and everything. And I am just absolutely thrilled. Cannot wait to get into this and, chat some more about Bukari here.
Yeah, I mean, this is just full-on Rodogasm this week, dude. We'll talk about the rumored signing here today. Obviously not officially announced by the club, but all signs pointing to Austin bringing in a new DP winger out of Ghana, currently playing in the Serbian League. We'll get into all that. We will preview this Saturday's matchup out there on the road at San Jose. Of course, we'll talk last business day. They've got a home match coming up on Friday as well, and we'll close it out with the nonsense. But before we jump into this afternoon's episode, just want to remind you all to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast if you have not yet. It helps us grow the show, as does hitting that subscribe button if you are watching us on YouTube. You can also hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up, like it did on Monday night, or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that like button. Hitting that thumbs up helps us grow the channel, helps us grow the show, and bring more Austin FC content and entertainment to as many fans as possible. Any and all of that you would do for us, we would greatly appreciate it. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So E, just real quick, little Rigoni wrap up. I think here, obviously, we hit the airwaves on Monday night, about an hour after the news dropped that Austin was waiving and buying out Emiliano Rigoni. Or I guess the news then was waiving Emiliano Rigoni. We had our buddy H on from We Are Austin TV to help us kind of sift through all of the news and the emotions of that night, and figured out, over the course of that hour-long live stream that this was a buyout, and the waivers process was just, kind of at the league's discretion there, something they were going to do to make sure that the league didn't lose the asset without, giving other teams a bite at it or a chance at it. But as the news we broke on that stream, that nobody was going to pick up that contract, the club announced officially on Tuesday morning that they had waived and bought out Emiliano Rigoni. So I know we said this on the live stream the other night, but just one more time, I have thanks to Emiliano Rigoni and wish him good luck in his future endeavors. Because like we said, there was never a bad thing said about that guy off the field, right? Or any sort of reports of him being disgruntled or not giving 100% in practice or on the field. It just didn't work out for, the level of play that we need from one of these slots. I hope he does well in the future and is able to kind of land on his feet wherever that may be, soccer or not. And there was plenty of very heartfelt farewells from his teammates on Tuesday as well, once that news was official.
Yeah, definitely wish him well. I don't know where that will be. If it will be something along the lines of, playing some more, I anticipate that his career is not over. I know he was tied to some club very loosely earlier on when we were, just getting started with this season and everything. But yeah, absolutely wish him well. And, I tried to give him his flowers as best I could on the live stream. And everything you said is exactly how I feel about him. It just didn't work out. And sometimes it be like that.
Yeah. Well, and then I think we kind of signed off the live stream on Monday night with the idea that, well, now we've got about 2 months where the speculation's going to ramp up. It's going to be rumor season, and like it is rumor season, but this seems like this is going to come to pass because early this morning, shout out to our buddy Dylan Biles, who, surfing them internets, found an interesting link on a subreddit that was from an outlet called Mozart Sport. It's Mozzart, I believe. It's a Serbian outlet. And so that article was saying that Austin was interested in Red Star winger Osman Bukari, I believe is how we pronounce that. We will find out, I'm sure soon enough, but that's my best attempt right now. And it was saying, I misread it actually. What the report was is that he was coming to Austin and that Red Star had shot down, or Red Star / the players camp had shot down a 10 million euro offer from Chicago Fire, but that he would be joining Austin FC. And, it's impossible for me at first glance to look at a Serbian outlet, using my Google Translate feature there and know if there's any sort of credibility to this outlet. And very quickly, some of our other buddies in various chats, I'll also shout out Logan Okwa, our good buddy, who immediately told me from his exploits on Football Manager and just, again, his global soccer interest, that Mozart Sport is not only a very credible publication in Serbia, but is the sponsor for the league name of the Serbian top flight division there. It is the Mozart Serbian League, or whatever they call it. So then I'm like, okay, well, this kind of feels like it's going to happen then. Like that this is a real story, and it's just we're as tight-lipped as we can possibly be over here. So, put out a couple tweets, obviously, other folks in the Austin FC space picking this up. Then we get two other pieces of news, or tweets, rather. First, out of the Austin FC media, who are in the pressers and get those type of invitations from the club. We learned that Rodolfo Borrell will address the media on Thursday morning. And then shortly after that, Tommy Scoops tweets out that Austin FC finalizing a deal to sign Ghanaian winger Usman Bukari from Red Star, and that the deal will be in the region of $7 million. So I guess I'm going to pull this up while we talk. Obviously, when we have even just rumors of players, much less guys that appear to be close to signing with our favorite team, we like to see some of the highlights. So we'll let that play here for the YouTube viewers. And I think what you said to me when we were searching for highlight clips is the first one that pops up is Usman Bukari is, all caps, amazing. So what is your take on all of this whirlwind that happened on Wednesday morning?
I couldn't have anticipated it. Right after we had the live stream about Rigoni, it was all about, all right, now we're going to have to wait and see what's coming, what's on the, potentially in the works here. And then for this to come this fast after the Rigoni news was just absolutely shocking. Wake up to several text messages of people just screaming at me, hey, go look at this, go check out this guy. And then obviously, jump into some highlights, looking at his profile, where he's been, what he's been up to. We've sang the praises of Joseph Paintsel many times on this podcast, and his ability to generate chances and score goals and be very threatening. And then you're telling me that this is the guy who plays over him in most situations when they're playing for Ghana there and everything. And it's super incredibly, ridiculously exciting. And, I hope everyone's getting a chance to look at these highlights that we got going on here, the pace that he plays with. It's fantastic, man. This is what we've been asking for. We wanted DP wing quality, and Rodo delivers, and he has moved, I don't want to say fast, right? Because everything has been tactical. The first step in this process was clearing the books of some really toxic contracts. This Rigoni one could have been the worst one that we had on the books right now. Or up until Monday. And just to see that now he's moving with pace in regard to getting some names over here. Again, no leaks, no idea this dude was on our radar or anything along those lines. We knew how this was going to be this is how we were going to operate with Rodo at the helm. And again, we're going to have to wait and see. Obviously, we've been giving this man A+ for pretty much everything he's done. He's rolling out with a 4.0 GPA right now. But
Yeah.
I mean, you see the pace, you see the ability to control the ball. Remind me of some stats on goals and assists here for his Caps.
Yeah, so Bukari, again, currently with Red Star in the Serbian league, and during his stint here, he has appeared 78 times according to Transfer Market, 77 times according to FOTMob. And again, with freaking soccer, man, you look at different places, there's different stats, there's different appearance counts and the like. But what appears to be the case is 78 appearances for Red Star, 25 goals, 20 assists, and other stops along the way in his career. Again, Bukari, 25 years old. He'll still be 25 until mid-December, which, again, I want to go find that clip of me from 3 or 4 episodes ago when I said, I can't wait for this spot to be a 25-year-old horse, and it turns out we're getting a 25-year-old as our next DP. So he began his professional career, I believe, in the Slovakian league with AC Trenčín, 65 appearances, 66 appearances. I'm literally staring between 2 screens with FOTMob stats and Transfer Market, and they're different. So I'm going off Transfer Market here, 66 appearances with AS Trenčín, 16 goals, 25 assists. Then he went on to Gent, and with Gent he had 35 appearances, 4 goals, 6 assists. And during his time with Gent, he was also on loan to Nantes in Ligue 1 with, in the French league. 26 appearances for Nantes, 2 goals, 4 assists. And I believe while he was there, they upset PSG. I was going through his Twitter and a couple pictures of him battling against Messi, battling against Neymar during that time. So, and again, now at Red Star since July 22. Yeah, man, like the environments that he's played in, the experiences. Oh, and then we can't leave out, again, like you brought up earlier, Ghanaian national team, 17 caps for Ghana, including 3 goals, a World Cup appearance, and a World Cup goal. This is the guy, and I remember this, and I remember thinking this guy was a clown, but now I love it. Down 3-1 to Portugal, and he scores in the 90th minute to make it 3-2. And does the Ronaldo, the celebration. Oh man, that type of spice on our team. And again, from a statistical standpoint, this guy is top class for MLS.
Yep, absolutely. I know you're breaking down some of the percentile things that they have on those profiles in regard to where he matches up with those other like Big 5 leagues and the players in there. And it was all incredibly favorable just to be able to add this dude, man. Like we said, the ability to get an upgrade from Rigoni was not going to be a tall task, but really knocked it out of the park with this here. See you pulling up the scouting report here on him. Obviously the Ghanaian national team is known for having plenty of wing players who are incredibly talented. For him to get those caps at that level, to be able to be in those types of environments and not only just be in them and be participating, but to also perform, it's just something that, we haven't seen this. Like we were chatting before we went on here. We don't have any guys who have played in a World Cup match. I don't think we ever have.
I don't believe so. Certainly not scored.
Certainly not scoring a goal. So like, this is just the quality that we have been begging for so long. And I am just again, thrilled at the opportunity. This gets us so much more speed on that wing. It makes us younger from Rigoni. Like it's just something that we have a guy now who can be in this system, in this program, develop and grow with us. And like, that is something that we just have to appreciate and be able to welcome with open arms, because we have been looking for something along the lines of a youth infusion with guys who can actually really play and get out there. And now you pair them with this core of guys who are sound veterans, professionals, who have already established themselves here this season in regard to the quality of play that we've been putting out there on the field. And it's an exciting time to be alive, man.
Yep. Yeah, man. Again, you can see the scouting report here on the screen. If you're audio only, you can head to FB Ref and search for Bukari, and you can see. And I think what this is, like with, again, a lot of these sites where some of them don't track certain leagues or like all of the matches, what have you, we don't have, I believe, all of his Red Star stats here. This is based on 486 minutes played in the last calendar year against positional peers in the Big Five leagues, because Red Star was in Champions League this last year. And that's another thing that I wanted to bring up here.
Yeah.
Not only did Bukari score against Man City to take the lead last fall, I believe that was a Champions League group stage match, but he was clocked in the winter as the 10th fastest player, tied for the 10th fastest player in the entire Champions League competition this past season. So, he is slightly behind guys like Davies and Tonali and Hakimi and Rashford and Mbappe, and that's a pretty damn good list to be on.
Some guys there, and you look at these you look at these stats here, you see that shot creating action per 90, 4.26. That just makes my skin tingle right there. The progressive passes and carries. You saw in the highlight reel here, he's nutmegging guys. He's utilizing his speed to get around people. Like, this is stuff that we saw, like, that got us excited about Jimmy when we saw him at, was it Rio Grande Valley University or something?
Yeah, I think he was
lines.
at RGV
and then
after Houston Christian.
You see it on this stage at this scale, and that he's doing it to those types of defenders. And you can't, if you were excited about the Jimmy stuff, like, this is just through the roof now, because it's pairing all of those exciting attributes that we appreciated about him into a much more professional, polished player. And man, I just can't wait. I know we got a ways to go till he gets here, and still the task at hand is going to be banking points, setting ourselves up for success in the second half and latter part of the season. And this is just like we talked about. We have been preaching this for so long now, doing things the right way, banking these points when we can. How important even those 1 point, draws on the road were, as ugly and as horrible as they were to watch, how important they were eventually going to be. And now we're not behind the 8 ball. We're kind of in cruise control with where we're at. And then eventually getting this talent that we had been talking about for so long in regard to how Rodo had framed how his timeline was going to look like here. In this summer window, we're going to be making moves, anticipate more moves coming on in the winter. And I think that just lines up with the salary cap sheets that we have on the northendpodcast.com that you can see in regard to when guys will be coming off the books, guys that we'd be able to buy down with Tam in regard to Alex. And now with the new collective bargaining agreement, we have 2 buyouts. So there's still more things that can be done. I thought for sure that the second shoe to drop after the Rigoni news was going to be Ring, but clearly this was all in the works, all a part of the process, all a part of the grand feast of Rodolfo Borrell. And let's get going.
Yeah, let's fucking eat, man.
Yeah.
I imagine this is the player that he teased at his last press conference, where he was like, we had one guy signed, sealed, delivered, without using the name. We knew that was Dessler, but he said he was very close on a second. So I imagine Thursday morning, 9:45 a.m. I don't think there will be a stream for this, but the club will post the press conference at least after it is done, and then we will also get media availability with Coach Wolf and a player that is yet to be determined. We don't really know that here as the common folk until they actually post the replay, or the recording rather, of those pressers. But I think tomorrow morning we're going to hear Rodolfo Borrell decline to name the player, but probably say we've got a second player ready to come over. I would think. I think the priority for him, the primary reason for him calling this presser, is probably to address the Rigoni buyout.
Yeah.
But again, the questions are going to come about Bukari and about other player personnel. And so I assume we'll get a similar answer to what we had on Dessler a few months back, the last time we heard from Rodo. But goddamn, man, like the fact, like, let's look at just from I haven't updated the sheets yet. I'll get that, if we've had Dessler in as this, assumed signing. Yeah, I think we can also just slot in Bukari for now, considering it's Bogart official that this deal is they're trying to close it as we speak.
And we're assuming that Rodo has seen him in person, correct? Like, play in person.
I don't know. Like when he scored on Man City in September, Rodo was already here.
Yeah.
So, but he certainly could have prior to that. And again, I could honestly care less. He's about to see him play in person a whole
Yeah,
lot.
right. So then let's talk about like positionality, right? Because we
Sure.
see on his profile like he lines up right wing. He also can spend some time at striker. Where are you forecasting him to be seeing the most of his minutes?
I mean, I would say right wing because that's been his primary position here with
Mhm.
Red Star from everything I can see. But transfer market, and again, we take everything on transfer market with a grain of salt when it comes to reporting this type of stuff accurately. But that site seems to indicate that he can play on both sides and that he has also played some center forward for Red Star as well during his tenure there. Again, around 2 seasons there in the Serbian league. They did run away with
Which
that
they did,
league,
yeah.
just finished up.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were a powerhouse this season. So I think on the right, I hope he's versatile enough to play on both sides because I know we've got, I think Hot Air can play on both sides, but also prefers the right. So to me, it's if Bukari wants, he can choose which side to make.
Love you, Hot Air. Been playing great, but yeah.
But also if he can play some striker, then that can work too, I'm sure, at times. So, but now also from the roster standpoint, just to get back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, it's totally possible, in my opinion, that by the time we get to the end of the summer window, 2 of our 3 best players are guys that are arriving that we already Dessler and Bukari, I think, would join Driussi on paper as probably the guys with the highest talent floor on the team at this point. Again, this is a guy I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
Even seeing him in the World Cup, what, a summer ago, 2 summers ago, 2 summers ago. I don't remember when it was, or it was in the winter. It was in the winter, year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like it's just,
it's unbelievable, man. And like, we talked about Hot Air there and having to move him around and everything. And we looked at the cap sheet and we've been trying to find some albatross kind of contracts that are outliers kind of standing out now. And you see the G, what he's coming in at and the potential of a second buyout coming through. But I mean, when we talked about this earlier and you're telling me that, Painsel's backing him up, I was saying Painsel would have been our second best player. So like, what does that say about this dude right now? And, that's just, man, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, let my imagination run wild, just seeing this guy out there paired with Seba being able to just run free on these wings in this wing position. And, but it's just hard to not get excited about the goals that will be coming from his foot. And we saw the assist as well. I was going to say right there, the assist as well. He's able to get other dudes involved. And I mean, just creating disadvantages when you're able to gas the fullback who's marking you and then create, opportunities for other guys. So man, I'm super ready. It's incredible.
It's a one-on-one winner.
Yeah.
Right. This is a guy like we don't have those guys.
Yeah. We don't
really have.
Yeah. We don't have to just hit you with a vertical ball. We can just get you the ball and let you go ahead and go one-on-one up a sideline and just beat your man. So that's just
how about him and Hader out there together?
Exactly. Like that is real dangerous. That's dangerous speed on either sides of the ball there. So it just gives Seba tons of stuff to work with. We've seen Alex playing these more concise, better looking vertical balls, changing the field, letting dudes run onto it. And, it's just like opposition defense, like which one of these incredibly fast men that we have on our team right now are you going to be accounting for more so, and therefore holding back your fullbacks potentially? I know that, that plenty of teams will be changing up strategies, doing all sorts of different things, but this is now something that you have to game plan for entirely. And again, we're getting some more weapons around our 10, man. And that just makes me so happy for this dude because he has been, and, with all due respect, playing with average, subpar players in key positions on the offensive side of the ball. So let's just, let's unleash this thing. And, July 18th really can't come fast enough.
Yeah. So summer window opens July 18th. July 20th against Charlotte FC at Q2 Stadium would be the first time you could see a Bukari, a Dessler, or any other signings, because the fact that we're just under 2 months, right, until that window opens. I don't feel like Roto is just done. Like,
yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, this has just come so fast and furious. Again, like we knew the Rigoni thing was eventually coming. When it actually came, it was like, oh shit, we're finally here. We've gotten to this point because the fan base has been quite patient with how Roto has been operating. I think that's a wonderful thing because putting our trust and faith into this guy is really the only thing that we can do. And we got very fortunate that Tony was willing to open up the checkbook to not only get Roto here, but then to be able to be like empower him and allow him to go out and get the guys that he wanted to do. I know that Roto's been working hard, doing all kinds of things, making all kinds of moves. And this just feels like the cherry on the top right now. But to your point, maybe there's some sprinkles coming too. And I'm a big sprinkle guy. You can always add a little extra on there.
Yeah.
But shit, man, we initially had the ZG bachelor party planned for that Charlotte game.
I know. We'll see.
You're gonna have to move this wedding up, brother. We gotta.
Yeah, man. So again, we still probably have the TAM in the coffers to buy down Alex Ring and open up another full DP slot by the summer. Again, because those summer rule changes are coming, which will give Austin that second buyout. I know there was some confusion. Paul Tenorio confused himself, I think, the other night by saying Austin couldn't buy out Rigoni before the 18th, thinking that it was our second buyout. So by the time the window opens, we will have that second buyout. So, dude, it could be buy down Ring, bring in another DP, buy out somebody else if you've got, other plans, and bring in more players. And I also don't want to lose sight of the fact that with those rule changes comes the different ways that you can use those roster slots that give you cap relief for the higher caliber players, your DPs and your U22s. Roto could be going the 2 DP route and opening up all the 4 U22 spots plus the additional 2 million in GAM. My opinion, I think he's going to go 3 DPs, but he can go either way. And again, he's armed with at least either a DP and 2 U22s or 3 U22s and the buyout. Again, I don't think the food is done being brought out from the kitchen and put onto our giant table for the feast. I just think we've got a couple dishes out there that look they look awesome, right? Yeah. Can't wait to tear into them. But there's just so much time left for him to operate, him and his team of scouts who are clearly just scouring every nook and cranny because of the guys we've already. Guilherme Biru, right? Nobody knew who this guy was, right? Even the national pundits. So, Rodogasm.
I was walking Moochie last night, and I was thinking about after the Rigoni stuff and everything, like how we were going to move forward, how we were going to do all of this, and like just the way that the guys who are here right now have battled this season and really just put themselves into an awesome position, but then still having the understanding where it's like, okay, we're really not one of the top clubs in the league from a talent standpoint. And like players win games. Like that's what it is. And you can be put in all kinds of positions to be successful, but you got to go out there and execute and get the job done. And, just thinking from the patient standpoint of being like, we have to allow Roto to really tear this all down before we can build it back up. And I just remember having a feeling of being like, man, I'd really be bummed if he didn't try to do something, even if it didn't fit his timeline for these guys right now, for the players that we have, for the Sebas, for the Alex Rings, for the Pepes, for the Julio, for the Stuvers, for the Heinzeichs, for the Johnny G's, all of these guys that deserve to have some more high quality players around them while they're out here battling and banking these points for us. Because, at the end of the day, the players want to compete for a championship. You ask anybody like what they want to do. You want to win a cup. That's what you want to do. But I would have understood it if it didn't come, because again, I am trusting the process as much as that has been played out at this point in time. That's this very cliche thing from the past at this point, but I was still bought into that. But to see this kind of moved up and how fast that this has progressed, I have to agree with you that he has more coming very soon. And again, what other things do we know, right? We talked to Bogart about it. The European sporting directors, this is the window that they want to capitalize on. He even went so far back to talk about St. Louis, how they built their team out by getting those European dudes here early, paying them while they weren't even playing in order to have that opportunity to capitalize on the players available in this summer window. So I'm right there, man. Like, let's, and like we talked about, he has some sort of versatility with his positioning. I still would love to see a DP striker come in here, a DP level caliber striker to come in here and be at that 9. And now you're talking about real fucking weapons all across the field. And, I know the guys are excited. They have to be. You get a dude like this, man. And I just hope that it works out from a chemistry standpoint from him coming in. But we have a solid core now. Like, if we were losing and in a bad spot, cracks always start to form. There's less trust, which obviously rubs off on the players and everything. But to be in the position that we're in right now, sitting in third place, understanding that we have Dessler coming, that we have Bukari coming now, like I don't know how you can't just be super. I mean, we're one of the most exciting teams in the league right now. Like this is awesome, fun stuff to follow. Like, and I'm right in that bucket, man.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I think we're probably just going to continue talking ourselves in circles if we stay on this topic, and there will be plenty of more discussion on Bukari and Dessler. And of course, on Sunday, we're going to recap what Rodo said tomorrow, so we will certainly revisit this going forward. Let's talk about our opponent coming up this Saturday. Another team that we have already seen this year, and came out victorious for the first time in this matchup. So I know you're on the match preview this week, so I'll hand it off to you. Let's talk a little bit about San Jose. Obviously, we know most about this. We know a lot about this team already. We played them, I think it was, 5-6 weeks ago?
It was a little over 6 weeks.
They do have a big acquisition since then. So talk to me about the Quakes.
Well, nothing has changed really on the defensive side of the ball. They're still the worst defensive unit in the entire league. They've given up 33 goals in 14 games. I'm pretty sure I have that figure in the article somewhere. It's like 2.43 goals, which again is the worst in the league. They really struggle on the defensive side of the ball. Their starting keeper, Danielle, is still out up until this point. So they're rocking with William Yarbrough. So we understand that they give up goals. Obviously, if you were at the game on April 6th versus the Earthquakes, you got to see Zach cry a little bit. That was nice. The game winner, the latest goal in club history from number 10 there, going down 2-0 in that game, and then just running off 3 goals on those dudes, just like in a fury, was just highlights how quickly you can punish this team. And I know that after we beat, I believe it was it Houston? And we came back and we were watching the Portland game there versus the Quakes.
Oh, yeah.
Or was that, might have been the following, I can't remember at this point, but Quakes up 2-0.
It was after Houston, yeah.
Quakes up 2-0. Pretty sure they get a red card, right?
They do get a red card, yeah. That was actually, that was a bullshit red card.
And that's, honestly, I wrote it in the article, this might be the unluckiest team in the league right now. They have lost some really just gut-wrenching kind of games. They have not been able to find any sort of continuity or identity. But now let's talk about the things that do have me a bit concerned, because yes, they're sitting at the bottom of the table in the Western Conference. They're one of the worst teams in the league. But we talked about Amal Pellegrino coming over, who has been a storied goal scorer throughout his career at many various stops and his very slow start to the season. Well, he got on the board for the first time in the year versus Austin FC with a very, very tactical ball that he put on Stuver that Stuver couldn't do anything with. Almost got a second one later in that match as well. So he's starting to come along. I believe he has 3 goals in his last five appearances. So he's starting to get his form a little bit. And he's a very dangerous player. He has a very high skill cap. Even when we were in that game about 6 weeks ago, we said Pellegrino might be the second most dangerous player on the field after 10. And now they've added another player, Hernan Lopez. And give me the figures on how much they paid for him, because I know it was club record, right?
Yeah, I want to say it was like 6.5. Hernan Lopez.
I was thinking it was like 8, but yes. So regardless if it's 6.5 or it's 8, it is the largest signing that San Jose has ever had. Now, we got our first ever win versus this team 6 weeks ago, which means we absolutely have not beat them at PayPal Park, which we will be playing this game. But
haven't even gotten a point there.
Oh, well, that's even worse then. So this is, this season has been one where we have been exercising some demons, crossing names off of our list, teams that we haven't beaten before, things that we haven't accomplished before. So another opportunity for the guys coming up here on Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. All this to say, we are better than this team. We should beat this team. I understand the variable of going into another team stadium, playing on the road in this league, how absolutely challenging that is. But this is not a game where you need to see the ultra conservative defensive style of play that we have put out there when we've played some more quality opponents. You can score on this team quick. You can score on this team fast. You can score on this team in succession. So I anticipate a lineup that is aggressive. We have this big news that has come in here. This is an emotional time for these guys, but still it's task at hand. And, like I said, we're just flat out better than this team, even with Hernan Lopez. And you look back at their last matchup, which was probably the last thing that they had to hold on to from this season, because I don't anticipate them being able to come back from the hole that they have dug themselves with the injuries that they have had with the guys who are underperforming. They were in the round of 16 in the U.S. Open Cup and dropped an absolute, must have been a horror movie for these Earthquake fans to get scored on. And I believe in the 103rd minute and 107th minute to drop a game 4-3 to Sacramento Republic FC is just, it's embarrassing. And just add it to the list of things that has gone wrong for the San Jose Earthquakes this season.
Yeah, man. Last night was the loss in the Open Cup. They have to go the full 2 hours against Sacramento Republic. And it was even worse than you mentioned there, because equalizer for Sacramento, Hernan Lopez, 100th minute, the go-ahead goal. Then 106th minute, Sacramento equalizer, 107th to take the lead.
And that's exactly what we did to him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Quick
2 goals 3 in 6 minutes.
Bang, bang. Yep. That's exactly how we did to him. So, like I said here, like, this is a team that you can score on fast. You can score on in succession. And if you hit them quick, man, you can knock this team out.
Yeah. Well, just because of, the friendship that you and I have, I am going to go back and just pat myself on the back. Fee around $6 million for Hernan Lopez. Incentives could take it to $7 million. And I think from listening to you talk about this team, I think obviously both of us have concerns about the elevated play potentially on the offensive side of the ball with Lopez. Like, we saw it for a while after he made his debut. I think like they ran LAFC off the field when they played their match at Levi's Stadium back at the beginning of this month. Then they won against Oakland in the Open Cup, and then they beat Colorado on the road, and Colorado, not a slouch this year, especially at home. But since you mentioned, everything fell apart after the red card against Portland, then they drop a home match to Orlando, and then they lose the Open Cup match last night. I think your thoughts on this team more closely align with some of the folks that I was talking to yesterday in various chats about my worries about Hernan Lopez and just how much more dangerous I think he makes this offense. I think it's going to help the connectivity of this team with Espinoza out there. You got Espinoza on your right, Pellegrino on your left, and a Bobasi in front of you. That is scary. I know I don't care how good our defense is. I'm still going to be nervous, especially just with the track record we have against this team and the dreaded Bobasi, of course. Like, if he's out there, probably going to get one on us. Like, that's just what happens in this matchup. So I do feel a little bit better that I'm on the island of being more reserved, like approaching this game. Because that means to me that this team is playing well enough that it is convincing the fan base. It's giving the fan base more of a positive outlook on some of these matches rather than coming into the season, or certainly after the first 3 or 4 matches, especially after those road ones, where I just don't think there was really that much positivity or hope to be found in some of these matches. I think we're seeing some more of that. And I'm not saying that this is a game that we are not going to win, or maybe even shouldn't win, right? It's tougher to win on the road in this league. I do think we see the tactics remain the same as they have been on the road here. I think we're going to be conservative once again, very compact in our defense. And again, try to let them kind of tire themselves out with some of those low percentage shots. But to your point, I also think I lean towards what you said about being a little bit more aggressive when we do have our chances. Maybe, again, we see some more of that, like we saw against Dallas, right? We see some more ball control. We see a team more willing to stretch things out a little bit and try to attack, put pressure on that back line that, as you mentioned, has been, suffering the most out of any back line in the league so far this year. In terms of our guys, right? Everybody's favorite team. You'd imagine Ethan Finley will be off the injury report come Friday evening. I got my fingers crossed that Biru's ready to go. Potentially been out long enough now, about 2 weeks by the time this game comes around, where maybe he is off the bench once again if he's available. But that's what I'm looking for coming into this week. Again, double game week. We got Portland at home Wednesday, and then we're out in RSL, first place RSL, on the next Saturday.
Yep.
So another tough week coming up. And I would really love to see, of course, not a hot take here, but I would really love to see Biru active in some capacity on Saturday, because we're going to have to see rotation again this week. There's just no question, especially because there's no rivalry matches coming up this week, at least in terms of, the teams in our proximity.
Correct. And, I would love to see Biru as well. Definitely got to keep an eye on, pay attention to what we're going to see on the wing position and how that's going to impact how we're actually going to play. You see Owen, I anticipate probably a bit more of a defensive structure. You see Ethan with hot air, then maybe we're letting it loose a little bit more. But either way, I still think that we're going to go ahead and get this job done. 10 is on fire right now. Someone who's been a little bit quiet as of late is Diego Rubio. I think this is definitely a get right game for him with how much the defensive unit for the Earthquakes has struggled this season. So I'm looking at those positions, those guys in particular, as my guys keys to watch in this upcoming matchup here. But yes, we're going to have to see some rotation. And again, I'll bring it back to the banking of points that we've gotten from earlier in this season up until this point. We can rotate a little bit and be okay here. And, I'm not going into this matchup wanting or anticipating us to get a draw as it plays out. I wouldn't be, devastated if that's what this came out to be, even though it's a team that I do believe that we should beat. But again, we have done the legwork to get ourselves into the position that we need to be in, where you have these heavy weeks of games, heavy minutes of games coming in. So I anticipate some rotation as well. But we're going to beat this team.
Okay. How much is Austin FC winning by on Saturday?
Like you said, I do respect their offensive side of the offensive side of the ball that they have. And even before this matchup was coming up, you and I had talked about San Jose a little bit, and that they did, just had a little bit of firepower that could make you second guess how bad they actually have been this season. But I'm going to go ahead and say 3-1 Austin. I think this team is in the right space right now. I think that we have the right mindset, and this is a team with the San Jose Earthquakes coming off that crushing defeat there, where it's just like, bury them, like they're asking for it. Like, just throw that dirt on top of them. Let's really just dash all hopes that they have of any sort of success for this season and just get the job done and keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, it does feel like if you can get the first goal in this match, that they could come apart in that sense. So I definitely don't disagree with you there. I'm going to keep my kind of modest prediction streak going here.
Okay.
I've got a 2-2 draw. Just this matchup historically, even this season with the way that we've been playing, it still ended up 4-3 at Q2 earlier this year. So I've got a 2-2 draw here. But I'll certainly take the win, of course, because then you're just continuing just flying with this team right now.
That'd be awesome.
But so I have a question before we move on from this, just real quick. San Jose Saturday, home Portland Wednesday, at RSL Saturday. How many points do you think we get this week? Your answer is probably 9, but how many points does this team need to bank through these 3 games for you to not be upset after this stretch of 3 games?
1.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Legitimately, 1. Playing in
Yeah.
RSL is a tall task. Obviously, going into San Jose and getting a result is something we've never done. Portland kind of in the same bucket with this San Jose team for me. Dangerous, underperforming right now, but have guys who are just kind of like fear-inducing players. And I say 1 because I wouldn't be upset because of where we are right now and what we have
Yeah.
done up until this point. So, I don't want that to come off as overly negative, but I mean, we have just set ourselves up better than anyone could have anticipated. And, you know, the run of form that we have had, it's not going to continue for forever.
Right.
And I understand that. So for me, legitimately, it's 1 point where I wouldn't be like, shit. And then even then, man, like even if it was no points, like I'm not gonna say I'm satisfied or happy with that, but
Right.
you'd still be right there where you need to be. And I just don't think that I just don't think we can overlook what the team has done up until this point, even if these next 3 games are disastrous.
Yep. No, I agree. And again, like we're sitting here just trying to prognosticate on this. The context will be revealed. And
True.
if it looks totally horrendous for 3 matches, then yeah, we're gonna be upset. But again, just trying to say that we keep some sort of this form like that we've had really all season, right?
Mhm.
Because ever since 10 got healthy, 90 minutes fit, it's been fucking awesome.
Yep.
So for me, the line of like being happy, I'm pretty damn happy with 3 points. Because you're either picking up a win somewhere, and again, I think that would be at home in the midweek, or you're getting 3 draws, and I think I'm fine with that too. Again, with context pending.
Mhm.
Um, but like we said on Sunday's episode, like I think you can lose all 3 of these games and still be above the playoff line because of the work you've done to this point. And then we're going into our first off week, I think, of the season. I don't think we had an off week already. Maybe we did, but you go from June 1st, I believe, to June 15th between matches there. So big week coming up. Looking forward to Saturday night, late one, 9:30 kickoff out there at PayPal Park in San Jose. Anything else for you on the first team before we move on?
Just thinking about that question a bit more. If you win at home versus Portland, I don't think you can be mad with anything. Like even if you lose in RSL again, the context
Yeah.
of the game. But if you win in Portland, which we have established is what we want to do, we want to be able to win games at home. Turn that into the F word. And I don't think there's anything that you can be too upset about. Again, until we see how the games play out.
Yeah.
But let's fucking go get these boys. Let's fuck all that. Let's go get 3 points right this Saturday
I'm with you.
and set ourselves up for 9 fucking points.
I'm with you. Last business day, real quick. Coming up on Friday at the pitch, 8 p.m. kickoff against LAFC 2, who is a totally different team results-wise this year. They are sitting on 18 points from their 9 matches. They are just a point out of first in the West. And of course, FCito sitting on 10 points from their 8 matches. So we do have a game in hand. But in terms of looking at who this team is rolling out there this year, there are not a ton of familiar names for me from last year's roster. And that's probably the reason why they are up near the top of these standings, because a lot of their top, academy guys or next pro guys were sitting on the bench for their first team throughout a lot of last season. So like you see Nathan Ordaz has been out there. That's a name that you'll recognize if you know kind of the LAFC depth chart. That's a very talented option for them. It looks like this guy, Luis Muller, has been their best player overall this year, I believe, leading them in goals. 8.3 average of his FOTMOB rating so far through 9 matches, which is fucking high, man.
Wow.
Like that is one of the higher FOTMOB ratings I've seen for Next Pro. And they also have David Ochoa, the keeper that's kind of bounced around, very high talent, or a lot of raw talent with this Ochoa kid. But everything I remember about him is that he's just a douche. And that's why he is now playing with the Next Pro side here out in LA. But across the board, again, I think this team obviously performing better. I can only assume that they have just upgraded some of these positions,
Yeah.
whether it is through their academy ranks or they've been kind of picking and choosing some guys to bring into their system, as we have with our second team. I do think we see for us, unless you have anything else to add on LA, I do think we see Cervantes in net again after they picked up the shootout win last week. And I'm just hoping that we've got, oh shit, we also have the news that we missed last Friday. FCito terminated the contract of Jonathan Santillan. So we are even thinner up top. You got to see a lot of Pino now. There's really like no other option. And I'm hoping that the Garcias, again, we saw Chris not dressed out, but out there with the team last Friday. Still haven't seen Anthony since match 1, but that would really help with our winger depth. Because again, it's really like it's Micah and it's Jimmy and it's Sebastian. And then we've had Bobo playing up there in a more advanced position, kind of playing at the 10 as well, which I don't think it's not really his natural position. So yeah, getting healthy here is going to be key if we're going to try to make a little bit of a jump up this table. Because Austin, again, with a game in hand and 2 on some of the teams above them, I believe sitting just 5 points off that playoff line right now. So even with the slow start to the season, they are far from done.
No, it's not as bad as it has appeared up until this part of the season. I was trying to figure out if that Muller kid was related to Thomas Muller.
Yeah,
It looks like he's not. But he is 6'2", so he's also pretty large.
Big boy,
So he's obviously a talented player. And the Santillan news, what a shocker that was. You know, we talked about it in some text and chat like that, where it was like, you know, he hadn't been playing great, but still, just given our numbers and how often this team has not even been able to fill out a bench, like what actually went down with that? What was the impetus to like finally pull the trigger there with him? So tough. Very tough. We're going to be thin on the offensive side of the ball. But as we mentioned, when Rigoni left, even at the FCito level, opportunity for guys to keep getting more minutes, keep growing. Hopefully the Garcia dudes are back at some point in time, ready to roll both of them. Because that's kind of the only thing that makes sense to me is that those guys are coming off injury or back from whatever hiatus or something that they're dealing with. But yeah, you know, it's not as bad as it has appeared. So I'm going to go ahead and go 2-2 draw with a PK win.
Okay, nice. I like it. Well, I'm going to go 2-1 victory here for FCito. Yeah, this is the first time in a while I've had a more rosy prediction than E here on the North End podcast. And it just a quick search on Luis Muller, 23 years old, on May 3rd, was signed by the first team. So he may not be there on Friday. I'm not sure. They also played Open Cup last night, so maybe they have some rotation this Saturday. He had signed with LAFC2 in March, 4 goals, 2 assists in the 5 matches. He has twice appeared as a substitute for LAFC's first team, and this is in the article from May 3rd, so he may have even had some appearances since then, especially in that Open Cup last night. I imagine he was out there with their first team. So he's under contract with LAFC now through this season and options for the next 2. So there's your little bit of LAFC news here for the day, but we can keep it moving. We can close it out here, E, with the nonsense. And of course, we will start here with the best ball standings last week, back to back for We Are Austin TV in week 14. They go 53 points, which vaults them up into a tie for second with Phil West of Verde all day. It has been quite a run here for our boys at We Are Austin, but still 49, a second place finish from the Verde pennant. They increase their overall lead. They are now 58 points clear of the field. But as Phil West might tell you, a lead like that, not super safe in the Verde Best Ball League, especially when we are, less than halfway through the season. So Moon Tower now in 4th. They are 19 points behind the second place tie between We Are Austin and Verde all day. And then we pick up another 3 points in the spoon race over Texas Ring of Fire. 16-point gap there between the North End and Texas Ring of Fire. It really helped us, E, that Messi had a down week, just 2 fantasy points on Saturday. That is the biggest threat to us in that spoon race, I think.
What a bum.
We also...
Who was that? Tucker? Said he was...
yeah.
We're catching up to speed.
Yep. And then, of course, closing it out with the bets. Yet another week where we look at the sheet coming off the matches on Saturday. You think, it's probably a loss. Nope. Plus 1.1 units on the week. It brings us to plus 6.82 units on the season. And we do that with all goal scorers. So the picks coming down off the high of Wednesday. You miss on the Dynamo, you miss on Nashville, you miss on the Galaxy, you miss on Inter Miami. But then we get goals from Hanny, Cabasita, Driussi, Ryan Gauld with the stoppage time goal plus 330. That got us over the line. Diego Rossi's to score, give an assist. And man, we would have been rolling in it because we had a half unit on Driussi to brace at plus 1300 and he missed the PK. But we take any and all profits plus 1.1 units on the week, plus 6.82 on the season. Feeling good about it.
Gotta feel good about it.
Yeah. So a couple, again, of course, the picks article Friday evening after that official injury report comes out. But a couple that we're eyeing here. I know you pointed out to me Seattle plus 215 at St. Louis. Our boy Pedro de la Vega is back, so I think we're eyeing that.
Pedro.
Yeah, exactly. Then I was also seeing Philly plus 175 at Charlotte. LAFC plus 150 at Atlanta. That's one I want to see if Almada and Yakumakis are back. They sat out last Saturday. Yep. If they're back, I'm probably staying away from that one. Yeah. And then also like Cucho's been out with a back issue. If he plays, he's plus 220 to score this week on the road. And Seba plus 260. I mean, that's where we're locking that in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with all those. I've had a very busy day this morning with work and all the news coming and stuff like that. So I haven't had the most time to get a good look at it, but my input will be in the article. So
yeah, exactly. I was going to say that the beauty of the new format, right, is we just kind of throw out what we're thinking about here on Wednesday, and then we lock it in on Friday. So I think that does it here. Anything else for you before we shut it down on episode 145 of the North End Podcast?
No, man. Let's go.
Yep. Yeah, man. The good vibes continue and the vibes continue to climb. We will be back on Sunday recapping Austin FC's road match against the San Jose Earthquakes, recapping FCito's matchup against LAFC 2, recapping Rodolfo Borrell's Thursday morning press conference and talking about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe. Between now and then, enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We will do the same, and we'll see you back here on Sunday. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.